Okay. It's never just a button. It means that we never just put in the button in any place of the page because no one really needs the button. Everybody needs a solution which covers their needs, and it's always some background behind that. Who am I? I used to work as a developer for around 10 years. Have experience in IT technologies and projects for 15 years, so even more already. Doing presentations, contributing things like that, and have experience with projects from the developer roles to managing biggest Ukrainian Drupal shop. So seeing the processes from the business side and the developer side as well, and work with architecture and business requirements, getting information. The main goal was getting things done. The Hitchcock's Guide to the Galaxy had a story about computer who solved ultimate question of the life, universe, and everything. And it calculates it around 7 million years, as far as I remember. And probably everybody knows the result was 42. But someone have set the requirements for that. So how to build that computer? Probably front end was done by Drupal, and we had headless configuration for that because computer is quite big, but someone needs to build front end. Projects are different by the type, and depends on the type. There are priorities from business side. So startups are the projects where people expect to get the quick result. It can be quick and dirty, just to make an MVP, show to the investors, or just to test on the clients. They not requires really quality, because everything changing too fast. And the project types are different from the startup to NASA projects. I don't know, probably you know, NASA projects are really processes. I don't know how to say it right now. The thing is that cost of mistake is really high. There was a story when they just forget that miles are not kilometers. So imperial and metric things was different, and they lost the rocket because someone just used imperial metrics. So that's basically the answer why images are around 4 million pixels from the opportunity and things like that, because they choose hardware, and they can change it to new solutions, because if code is working, just don't touch it. I have the story from the Microsoft team. They said, we got the call from Adobe that Photoshop just crashing in some configurations. They investigated really deeply, and an issue was with Intel processors. In some set of instructions go one by one. It just crashed. So they added nope string. It's assembler command which do nothing. So just tick process, and that fixes the problem. So that was the reason that don't touch working code. So if it's working, it's fine. But for startups or corporate portals or enterprise solutions, things are working really different because they can make a mistake and that's fine for them. But more difficult project, cost of the mistake became higher and higher. So I've just aligned like startup, corporate portals, enterprise solutions. Later we have fintech solutions, automotive solutions, and for me the top is NASA because they have cool processes. They really pay a lot for each mistake. So. That causes that speed of the development for NASA is the lowest because they do test. They do that on real hardware, but for startups, they just push away, quick and dirty. Yeah, startups way. And the same thing about processes, that for startups, you don't really need the right processes. It's work fine, just choose the right tools, reuse as much as possible, and you get the solution. What are the expectations from business and developers? I've just simplified, so it's not about project managers or product owners or things like that. We have really two sides, business and the development team. They have different expectations and because they focus on different things. Main thing for business, it's ROI, it's return of investment. Because they pay, their goal just get as much money as possible. And profitability is the main thing for for each business. But for developers, it's a totally different point of view. They would like to get interesting tasks. They would like to be valuable on the market, to change the work if they need it, and be recognized by the community, play with new technologies, follow the trends, and get as much knowledge as possible. So how those expectations can be put together? Basically, there's no way. Customers will always ask for fast solutions. They need supportable. It's really important to get as low maintenance cost as possible. And maintenance cost, it's not just support. After release the solution, we need to we always get bugs, always. So no solution without bugs. As I told, even NASA got it. Later, we are introducing new features, and they need to be placed somewhere in the code. So systems are really interacted, have really linked components. And if you're changing in one place, you just can drop everything. Drop everything. It even can be changing the color of the button, just crash the system because someone choosing correct selector to do something later on front end. I saw a really solution when people just link to green button And if there's a green button on the screen, they're changing behavior of the other components on the page. And yeah, that was fail in architecture, but anyway, things are happening. What is an architecture in this case? Architecture means not to build correct application. It's choose right way of getting things done. It's about choosing right tools, understand the scope of the project and the task we had. Because, for example, adding a subscription means that later it's possible we will need to have templating for them, or we need to understand where we who subscribed. We need some analytics for business. We need more and more things which becomes later, but originally it's just input with button. So quite simple, but later solution can be changed. And choosing right scope, understanding the right scope and possible changes on later stages is really important to build that architecture. Next thing is required quality level. I will later share some examples from my practice. But the thing is, we don't need super architecture built solutions. We need to solve business needs. So if we can do things quick and dirty, sometimes it works fine. We don't need to build complex solution for some things. Next thing is priorities. Priorities, yeah, it's intersects with quality level because how to say it? Because right now, at the moment, it's possibly you don't need to implement too complex solution. This example of subscription, it's possibly you just need to put in template some subscription, some input with button, and it will be work fine for this moment. But you really need to understand that you can support it later. And if you want to get solution supportable, it affects maintenance costs. Each time you're adding input and button in templates, you're just making things worse and worse. In some moment, solutions became totally unsupportable. So you need to understand on which time you can do quick and dirty things. For example, site became inaccessible for users, and making quick and dirty solutions to just make it working again, it's fine. But for the future, you need to understand how to fix it in proper way and what user will get from that. And all that about is about nature of the things. Because button, it's really not the button. It's part of more complex things. Like in story of Hitchkins, yeah, someone pressed the button. And after that, from business side, Hitchkins' thing was, okay, we have a button, which needs to solve the solution. But from developer side, it's complex things of computers, of systems, of a lot of other things. And that really difficult to explain to the customer the things. And understanding the nature of the things helps us to choose the right components for that. First thing, process. Yeah, process. Yeah. Why I've put it the process is really not follow the line, but I really think that this is really important. How we work with the client to get all the things done. We are starting from the test definition, and test definition is different from business side, from developer side, and the tester side. Business side describes business needs. What do they really need it? How it affects business, how it affects customers, how it's valuable for their needs, how they will use it, who need it, and why they need it. The main question is why they need it. Developer can't provide a proper solution without that information. But after we got information from the business, developer need to choose right tools, right solution, and they quite often they're just trying to implement directly. Important thing is just give some time to developer. Each task need to have all the three components. After business side, developer investigation currently available solutions. Developer investigating the system if they don't know it already. And for example, for my developers, I've often provide 1 hour for investigation, and before they start real coding, they just need to provide solution how they will do that. At least top level, step by step. At the middle of the task implementation, they already need to have completed solution. So if test for 10 hours, in 5 hours they need to have working solution because of bug fixes, unexpected situations, and we need to have to see problems as early as possible. So and another thing is that we need to understand how to test it, and that comes to tester things. So complete test is having business requirements. Tester describes how the solution will be tested. So the steps needs to be completed to just verify the solution is working well and properly. And then developer solution became more exact. I'm really missing the word. Developer solution если честно, здесь я по-русски просто скажу, потому что это будет реально проще. Смысл в том, что после получения бизнес-требований девелопер не может сделать нормальное решение до того, как он не понимает, если он не понимает, да, каким образом это будет проверено. Потому что очень часто мы имеем разный вид, да, разное понимание вещей. Если я говорю, что еда вкусная, да, то есть еда вкусная для меня, вот, но что такое вкусная еда с точки зрения бизнеса, мы не знаем. Она сладкая, она соленая, да, то есть она перченая, какая. Вот. И Вот описание со стороны тестировщика, да, очень важно, потому что оно описывает, каким образом мы это проверим. То есть какие люди и как этим будут пользоваться, да, и что они будут при этом делать, и какие они ощущения должны получать. Let's back to English. After implementing solution, it's really important to do code review that helps developer to get better understanding of the system, get understanding what are changing, what will be affected later, and yeah, it's basically more about knowledge of the project and having good quality. Running auto tests, yeah, it's quite easy. Review with client, yeah, it's yeah, it's quite straightforward. And release is the final result of this of that. Yeah, now I will tell the stories with examples, trying to explain what was before. So, first story about the button. We had original estimation of the, yeah, it was just really placing the button for subscription. Because originally it was estimated in 10 hours because it was really a simple solution, but the project was big and over-processed to cover all the things. So yeah, it was 10 hours, but at the end we got 100 hours or so. Why? First of all, the button was subscription depends on the status of the user. So for corporate users, they got corporate subscriptions. For private users, they got private subscriptions. But sometimes for corporate users, they can already have the subscription, but they can buy an article because it's out of the subscription. And client provide block scheme with the states, okay, if user corporate, do that. If user private, do that. If they have that kind of subscription, do that. And yeah, it was just a plain block scheme. As a result, we just missed a lot of cases. So it's looked, yeah, we are, oh, okay, we need to check this, but that doesn't work. To fix it, at the end, basically, everything was written from the scratch in 3 hours. How we get it? Just change it the description. Putting all the cases in the table was visually much easier to understand. And it was really easy to test. And that moment, developers understood business needs. So when they have that block scheme, they don't understand, they're just trying to implement what they expected. And some cases was really, yeah, they just missed. So we need to provide information right way and be as simple as possible. Because simplification is really the key of the success. Yeah, but yeah, it was enterprise solution, and it was fine. So those 100 hours just mean nothing on the project side because it was around, yeah, it was 1,000 hours a month. So nobody cared really, but. Yeah, that was normal fail. Second thing, it was about caching. Yeah, it was my fault. Fair. we have good processes. It was a really qualified team, a lot of Drupal contributors, and few of them really was top contributors. It was around 100 of web servers for front end, around 10 servers for databases, and few servers for caching and things like that. I've used to implement a few new caching things. It was at the core of the system because it was millions of customers, millions of records, and I've just disabled caching, commented. It was, and put caps lock line, just remove it before release. We did release, and that huge system just followed up. We are trying to understand what's happened, because the system is huge and it was powerful enough to handle even without caching, but just only for some period. At the end, we had, fortunately, we had rollback plan. Every changes was restored back, system back to normal, and we started to investigate based on commits released. And I found the line, remove before release. And if you saw the process before, it has a stage with code review. The problem was that we failed with authority. So my authority was big enough to developers, for less qualified developers, to just don't do review. So they just failed with the processes. And that means that you shouldn't never depend on authorities. You should always follow the processes if they exist, because otherwise, all the processes, like in traffic rules are written by blood, and if you changing the things, you need to understand why that happens. So follow the rules. It's really important. Next story was about licenses. It was license server. It was terribly crappy code. I think some of them was really written by Indians, because that was the period when Indians got paid by lines of code, and they provide quite interesting solutions, like checking day of the week in in 10 lines. If the day is Monday, okay, we return Monday. So if it's Tuesday, we return Tuesday. And that code was totally unsupportable, but business works. They needed provide promotions and continue working. At the beginning, we discussed and agreed that, yep, that code needs to be rewritten. But again, business continue working. So they have terms when they have promo actions, when they provide discounts and things like that. So we agreed that we will not rewrite at the beginning, because rewriting of that code was had to take around 2 months, as far as I remember. So it was too long for them. And we became changing part by part. So if we have discounts, we rewrite that part of the code which affects discounts, but on the new basis, and trying to change things step by step. So if you have, if business continues working, just not try to rewrite at the beginning. Everybody knows things not invented here. If someone wrote the code, okay, if it follows expectations of the business, it should work. Just change step by step to provide correct architecture later. Rewriting of that part took around 6 months. That cost for the client much more than they expected. But finally, we got a solution totally rewritten, and later support was adding a new promo campaign. At the beginning, took around 2 weeks. At the end, we got 2 days. So just follow business needs. And the last example was around query with 3 million items. It was about subscriptions and articles people are writing. I don't know, you know, union statement. It's when you join in 2 different queries, which return same results, but from different tables, different queries, and you're joining them together. The problem was that it returned, each line was around 2 kilobytes of data. Results query returns around from 3 to 5 million records, and later you need to order it by time. So to return page query, you need to get all the data. So just multiply 3 million of records on 2 kilobytes. We are getting around how much? 6 gigabytes of temporary table, which later needs to be sorted, and that caused that query just put it on the disk because out of memory, and that slowed down the process. What was changed? We did, we had 2 ways of doing things. We can rewrite the code at the beginning, have core, like in Drupal 8, we got entities, that are unification of all the items we have. We can go that way, but that took around 3 months of development, and we found a bit better solution. Change it, so original queries just selects node IDs, time, and that's it. So as a result, we had 5 bytes of data per record. 5 bytes multiply on 3 million of items. It's 15 megabytes of data set, which easily can be put it in the memory and sorted. So for the client, it was enough, and that took just 1 day. So we write only when it's really needed. Sometimes we can do crappy solutions, which suitable for client needs, and it's fine. So we shouldn't really rely on the architecture. we don't need to rewrite everything. Sometimes it's just change some things and it's fine. So, yeah. My mostly, yeah, I finished. So if you have some questions, I see no. But basically, the things about requirements are quite difficult thing. It affects lots of areas, and I would really like to discuss with someone if you want, because in different areas. I've tried to cover some small things with some examples, but I really understand that I'm even not covered 5% of the possible things. Yeah.
Well, you were a developer for 10 years, and now you are a project manager or entrepreneur. How you define yourself?
I'm doing consulting and helping build development process and architecture for the projects.
How did your life change since that shift, and what are the main difference of your definition of development?
I'm doing development. I'm still doing development sometimes, but I'm mostly focused on the processes, on translating from business language to developers language, because we are talking on different things. As I mentioned before, we have different expectations, and developers are quite often focused on building something interesting, rockets, and business really quite often just don't need it. So I'm not sure I got how my life was changed. It's more interesting, yeah. So I'm covering just more things, and yeah, it's just more interesting.
Do you think that developers always need this translator, or you can cultivate this culture of understanding business needs inside the team, and they can work without this role of you of IT consultant or
it's mostly about processes, negotiation between business and developers, and mostly it took around 3 to 4 months when team understanding of how they interact with business became working. And it's really from 3 to 4 months mostly. Seems that it? No.
Спасибо за доклад. А можешь переключить слайд на процессы? Хотел узнать, где здесь implementation? Path definition?
Yeah, implementation is just between test definition and code review. It's expected that after getting test definition, we are implementing it. Otherwise, we just can do code review and move forward. Just move away because it's obvious.
Okay, thank you.